the top was a ruler, a king without measure. He had a long name. It was
Nebuchadnezzar.
That name's a mouthful, but he liked it just fine.
Nobody's name is as awesome as mine. It gets respect. It has lots of letters. And since I'm the king, mine's doubly more better. I'm the best of the best, the greatest of all.
The king had an ego that wasn't too small. What he said was law.
I will be obeyed. People will heed me. They should be afraid of my power, my absolute right. They shouldn't ask if it's wrong or if it's right. What I say, they do. Even if I say to worship a statue, then that's what the people will do altogether, to show their allegiance to Nebuchadnezzar.
Then the king got quiet. You could hear a cricket. And he leaped up and yelled,
That's just a ticket. What better way to check my kingdom's loyalty? I'll make them all worship a statue of royalty.
The king quickly summoned his chief engineer. His name was Gaz, and he had a big beard.
Gaz with the beard, do as you're told. Make me a statue, make it with gold. Let all this province look up to the sky to see this great image reach 90 feet high.
Gaz and his men quickly got work, hammering, sawing, banging, and torquing. And finally the statue stood, shiny and new, and all the people looked up and said,
Ooh! It's so tall, so shiny. Look at it glow.
Now listen up, people. Here's what you should know.
The narrator made up a new rule for the region.
This is the first day of your new religion. Whatever you worshipped before, just forget it. I found you a God. It's time that you made it. To this image of gold you see towering high, you must pray and bow down if you don't want to die. When you hear flutes, horns, pipes, and strings, zithers and harps, and all musical things, that will be your cue to drop to the ground, to turn to this statue, and pray and bow down. This is now law. If you refuse to do this, you will be thrown in the fiery furnace.
Now, this was no oven for baking bread, but a room full of fire, blazing orange and red.
If anyone steps in the furnace alive, it's so far and wide that they couldn't survive.
Now, living in Babylon at the same time, there were 3 Jewish men.
We won't change our minds. There is only one true God.
Just one that's true. It's our God in heaven.
Not this gold statue.
We won't forsake God. To the furnace we may go.
Our names aren't Shadrach.
Meshach and Abednego.
Just then it happened. When instruments played, the signal sounded, and the people obeyed. Everyone bowed just as low as they could, but Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood.
What's going on here? Why don't they bow?
Those Jews are still standing.
They're crying
out loud.
Hey fellas, get down here. What's this all about?
The king's gonna look
And you
sort of stick out.
We are not afraid. Hey, this isn't a joke. That furnace is hot. It'll turn you to smoke.
Our God is almighty.
He's all around us. That statue is no guardian. It can't protect us.
The 3 Jews stood out, but things got more rough, because there were some guards who told the king to stop.
Okay, we bow down to your image of gold, but there are 3 who don't. The behavior is bold.
They say the statue we worship is lame.
Who says that stuff? Tell me their names.
There are 3 Jews who I'm sure that you know.
They're Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Hey, I know those 3 guys. They all work for me. But how can I rule when assistants resist me?
King Nebuchadnezzar commanded his men.
Bring me the Jews. I've got questions for them.
Yes, sir.
Right away, sir.
That's just what we'll do.
We think you're the best.
No, just what you do.
You'll go to the furnace if you don't get moving.
The guards ran away and found the 3 men, so that Nebuchadnezzar could see them again. The Jews were let in. They didn't bow down. The king was not happy. He had a big frown.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do tell. Is there some reason that you can't bend down well? The people of Babylon, I'll do my bidding. I said worship this statue, and I wasn't kidding. I'll give you one last chance when you hear the sound to turn to the statue and pray and bow down to this image of gold, then I'll spare you today. If not, to the furnace you'll go right away. Then I'd like to see what great God in the land will rescue you from my mighty hand.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood taller.
O king, that gold statue you recently put up is nothing compared to the great God of Israel.
That creator of heaven and earth, he's for real. If we were thrown into that blazing furnace, our God in heaven can certainly save us.
This made the king as mad as a hatter. If he started bad, he just became badder. The fire in the furnace wasn't quenched by water, because the king ordered it to be 7 times hotter. He bound the 3 Jews using his strongest men. He opened the furnace and threw the 3 in. That's right, I said three, not more. But Nebuchadnezzar said,
I think I see 4. You threw 3 men in, right? Then why do I count 4 of them? Who's the new guy?
We aren't even burning. Their hands aren't bound.
They're perfectly fine.
But then they're walking around.
the king was astonished, his mouth hung wide open.
I just can't believe it. They're not even smoking. The God these men have is the God of all truth. He sent them his helper, and he's fireproof.
The king called to Abednego, Shadrach, and Meshach.
Come out of the fire, you guys. Come on back.
The 3 men walked out just like the king said. Not even a hair was singed on their heads.
Praise to the God of these 3 brave men, who has sent them his angel to come rescue them. He has power over death, I now know, and this can't be said of my golden idol.
The king just said a mouthful. Did you catch it? Since I'm the narrator, let me rehash it. No matter how hard folks continue to try, the big fact of life is we're all gonna die. Our toys and our money and compliments paid us. Even the good things we do just can't save us. These things are just like the king's gold statue. They'll add spice to your life, but they'll never preserve you. How God saved those men was a miracle indeed. But what about us? Don't we have the same need? Yes, we do. So our God, who saved them from the furnace, performed a new miracle just to save us. He came down from heaven and became a man. To suffer and die on the cross was his plan. Right there on the cross, he erased all our sins so that we could live in heaven with him. If we believe that, then death will not harm us, just like those 3 men in the fiery furnace.